and opportunities.
It's his first time at the Lagos Teachers Conference, so can we give him a round of applause? Can we celebrate him? Can you welcome him? A round of applause as he gets here.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I mean, it's been very cold in the house. We're all talking intellectual stuff. Can somebody just stand up and warm up a little bit? Come on. Kuletoya. Come on, shake it once again. La 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 la. Ẹ̀yin tèmi báwo ni o? La 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 la. Shake your neighbor and say, it is well with you. So, please be seated. I'm supposed to have slides, but I want to speak to you from my heart. And I want to speak to you because this is pertinent. And this is important. So I'll be speaking about innovation in education. And you see, the most important problem about education is education. The most important problem about education is education. I'm sure a lot of people are saying Rufai wants to get controversial. Why do I say it's education? It's the education we have been given over the years. And what we have been told education is. A lot of people that speak to us about education tell us what education is without knowing what education is. So they bring about indoctrination, dogma, subservience, and a particular code called education. So ask me, what is education? Education is to bring what you have in you outside. Education comes from a Greek word called edukos. Edukos means bring internal giftings, what? Outside. But what do? We take internal giftings of others over the years and do what? Impose it. That's why when Le Chatelier in 1889 propounded Le Chatelier's principles, in 2019 we still teach what? Le Chatelier's principle. That's why in 2019 we still talk about Avogadro's law. In fact, we have a song. Avogadro's law, lo so we pay equal volumes of all masses at the same temperature and pressure contains the same number of. So what do? We take it and do what? Newton's third law of motion says action and reaction are what? What do? We take it and put it on the students. We have never asked that, what is your own law? For thermodynamics, for physics, what is your own law? And that has been teaching. So I'm a student of history. I speak in universities all over the world about history, Cambridge University, African antecedents, and things like that. And when you see it, historically, education is skewed to be able to teach propaganda. And I'll give you an instance. Go way back to 3 BC. Something happened. The Spartans had the first system of education with the Greek. The Spartans, because they fought a lot of war with Athens and some other areas, what did? They taught all their male borns to be military officers. So that's why you hear things about Spartan courage. The Greek had a more egalitarian society, but they were mostly philosophically inclined. So what happened? They started teaching philosophical aspects of education. All right? That's why you have things like the sophist movements. That's why you have things like patterns of theum. That's why you have schools of thoughts of Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. Isn't it? So because that's where they were going in society, they were teaching that because that was what was ambivalent in society. That was the expression in society. When you move a little bit further and that continued pretty much for another about couple of thousands of years until the 1500s, the 12th to the 1500s, when we have what we call the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period, you had innovative thinkers coming out of places like Scotland. You had the likes of David Hume telling us that, no, it shouldn't be this way. You had the likes of other wonderful thinkers bringing out great ideas. So education changed, and it was formed about what? The Renaissance period. And that continued for quite a while. They still included philosophy, algebra, Latin. Everything was skewed towards what they were seeing. And that's why you see our early fathers that were educated in schools did Latin. Man, I'm sure you did Latin. Or maybe it was way before your time. Latin was done in school in Nigeria, isn't it? So that was the order of the day. And that was the kind of education. And education over the years has been skewed according to what the government and the governance wants. That's why in early 1900, entrepreneurship was taken out of the curriculum in schools in America. Any country that wants to develop patterns its education according to its developmental strides. But it doesn't make it right. I'm always a challenger of norm anywhere I go in the world. It doesn't make it right. What we have is education handed down from us. Education that says we must speak English. Who says I must speak English? Ta ló sọ pé mo gbọ́dọ̀ sọ Ìgbò? Ta ló sọ pé mo gbọ́dọ̀ sọ Ìgbò láti là láyé? Who says it's English I must speak to break through? So, because I not speak big Oyibo, you dey tell me say I not dey civilized, abi? But that's the kind of indoctrination they've given all of us. So I watched in the video intently when somebody was saying, and he said, you know what? I need to teach them how to speak English, like it's a curse not to be able to speak English. What if I grew up in China? I'm sure you know that long before English came into being, we had an Igbo language writing system that was there. Igbo kwenu. We had an Igbo writing system. Long before they started writing English, Igbo were written. There was Igbo numeracy. One of the oldest languages in the world. Do you know that the Chinese language has over 1,000 characters? So why are they telling you that if you can't interact in English, you have skewed education? You know why? Because the education we've been taught over the years doesn't bring innovation, and it's dogma. It tells you to remain in a certain place. It says if you don't speak good English, oh tabon. That's what it tells you. I'm not saying don't learn their language. Learn the language of the colonialists well, but don't be a colonial mindset. You need to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can do what? Everybody, let's stand up and sing this together. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Say that again. Thank you. Please be seated. Just one stanza. Just one stanza. Because if we don't get this right, anything we say about education is a waste of time. How do we innovate when we don't even know what education is? How do we innovate when we don't know what education is? When the only education we know has been the dogma over the years. I spoke in Cambridge 2017, and I was made to understand that the dogma for education is so much that your graduation ceremony in Cambridge is still conducted in Latin. Go to Cambridge. I was in Cambridge. Your graduation ceremony is still conducted in Latin. Those were the norms in the 13th century. But that's still what is applicable today. Because you know what? There's something that is sort of like a yoke. You know, the Bible talks in the book of Proverbs about not being conformed. Do you know what? I like the definition of the book of Proverbs that talked about not being conformed. That said, don't be squeezed into a mold. A lot of us have been squeezed into a mold of tradition. That's why we cannot have cooperative learning with our pupils in class. If you expose your mind, you will know that being a teacher means you are the greater of the student. Check all over the world. We have the least patents out of Africa, isn't it? Thomas Edison, in his lifetime, had the most patents any man can have. Thomas Edison has over 1,940 patents to his name. Thomas Edison didn't go to school. What did he do? He discovered what was in him. I'm sure that was what Mark Twain, who knows Mark Twain here? Huckleberry Finn. Mark Twain said something very profound. Somebody stand up and say this. Jump up and say this. Mark Twain said, I will never allow my schooling affect my education. Because a lot of people, their schooling has affected the personal education. I think you should write that down. I think you should tweet that to somebody. A lot of us, the way we are schooled has affected the personal education in our lives. So we cannot innovate. We are looking for laws, isn't it? Recently, a Nigerian invented a generator that works with water. A very good engineer friend of mine went on Facebook and blacklisted him and said it defies the laws of physics. But what Albert Einstein said is E equal to MC square. You said is what? It's taken, isn't it? It's a law, isn't it? When doctors in the 18th century were misleading people by saying if you are sick, the only way you can get well is by bloodletting. So they will stab you and take some blood off your body, let blood come out. We said it was scientifically proven. But when we do it here, it is a problem. You see, why I'm not quoting stats about innovation is that the key to innovation is your mind. If your mind is not changed, you cannot innovate. If you don't have a renewed thinking, you can't talk to your pupils better. You don't know you can learn from them. And that's why when they say Finland doesn't do assignments, it's because they don't want you to go and copy on Wikipedia. Is that not what we do on assignments and projects? I lie? If I lie, say I lie. But is that not what we do? Other people's resource, you don't know how they got it, they put it on Wikipedia, you go to copy. When they say teachers don't have lesson notes in Finland, when they say teachers will do 5 years, you know the reason why they're saying teachers must do 5 years? Because, so what you mean, because we were trying to explain something about Finland. So the thing, I was in Finland, I was in Helsinki. The thing about Finland is this. Your first degree and your master's degree are tied together. It's a 5-year program for you to be a teacher. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you the catch. If you're a primary school teacher, you're a primary school teacher for life in Finland. Yes. You don't have a right to take another job. If you are a primary school teacher, you're a primary school teacher for life. Why? Okay. Okay. One house. I love reactions. Can I explain something to you? Because let me tell you something. That's the most important part of teaching. And the most skill needed is at that point, at that formative years. But here, that's where we put ramshackle graduates that had a third class. You can see why things are not working. You can see why we're not innovating. Because it is serious business. Look, countries that have scaled and that have developed intellectually and have done a lot of good things are countries that have invested in education. And you see, it's very easy to rejig it. There's something called PISA. I don't know if you guys send students for that. There's a PISA rating system. It's a numeracy and reading written system all over the world. When you look at the PISA rating scores over the years, it shows you between the ages of 0 to 15, the numeracy capacity of every teacher, of every student around the world, tested across these countries. Mostly they are OECD countries, countries of, thriving economic status quo. And what PISA does is, it looks at numeracy, and when you look at the countries on PISA ratings, America ranks number 20 what? I mean, 31 now. That's the America you people send your school to. American education, isn't it? American education, isn't it? American education. I think Britain ranks number 21. So that's the British boarding school education where you speak Queen's English, isn't it? It ranks number what? Let me tell you countries that rank 1 to 4. Singapore, Taiwan, Macau, Finland. Hey, I'm sure someone say, oh, what do you know? What do these countries do? These countries open room for innovation in their system. Let's start from Finland. A lot of people think the success Finland made was overnight. Everything started in 1991. They used to be part of the big Soviet Union. Everything started for Finland in 1991. The first thing they did was to be able to churn people into the workspace. So they had what we call polytechnics. Polytechnics like universities, where they had technical competence teaching. At first, because I told you earlier on, education is based on what the country needs at that point in time. Finland wanted to compete in Europe. It was a small emerging country. So they brought about a lot of technical learning. And they had that between 93 and 94. And they did that and perfected that so well that most of the patents that came out of Europe between 98 and 2003 to 2004 was from Finland. Nokia, Finland. It's named after a river, River Nokla. But you know the exciting thing is that other countries that are very intentional about their education system have started doing it. A little country called Estonia started doing it. Estonia is number 6 or 7 on the PISA rating. Estonia has invested tremendously in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, because that's where they want their countries to go. And because of that, they're making so much money now. There's a little game we all play. It's called the Angry Birds. It's made by a small company in Estonia called Roxio. What Angry Birds make for the economy of Estonia, oil doesn't make it for the Nigerian economy. Shall I say that again? What Angry Bird makes for the economy of Estonia, oil doesn't make it for that Nigerian economy, at least in 1 quarter or 2 quarters. You think I'm lying? There's innovation in learning. Ask Google now, Roxio. What's the worth of the company called Roxio? Google Roxio now, please. Somebody help me out. Google Roxio. I mean, it's participatory learning. We're learning, isn't it? I shouldn't be talking here every time now, isn't it? Huh? Is it not innovation in learning? Please Google Roxio, R-O-X-I-O. Tell me the worth of the company called Roxio, the ones that make agri-bed. Somebody Google it now. Please, Google it. That's why I said I'm sorry, I don't like to use slides. That's why I create very poor slides. Because I like to interact with people. Google Roxio. Has somebody seen it? If you see it quickly, you will take my bottle of water. Have you seen it? What's the worth of Roxio as a company? 10 billion. Billion. Billion dollars. Million dollars. $10 million. Okay, Chris. Let's calculate what are crude oil entries for a month in Nigeria. Let's calculate it. What we make in crude oil in a month in Nigeria. Let's calculate it. Let's calculate it. What we made in crude oil in a month. When you say crude oil entries into Nigeria. And that's to show you the power of education and innovation. Let's calculate it. Or put in what Angry Birds made. Yeah, because that 10 million was suspect. 2.25 billion. That's the real worth. It's not 10 million. That's Angry Bird. Yeah, it's made by Roxio. So ask, is Nigeria making 2.25 billion from crude oil? $2.25 billion. Because when you said 10 million, I said that thing was suspect. Imagine me. Don't mislead me. I know Roxio was more, Angry Bird was more than that. So Angry Bird is 2.25 billion. Isn't it? Good. Angry Bird is what? Was 2.25 what? Please put your hands together for this man. 2.25 billion. What is Nigeria's budget? What is Nigeria's budget in a year? 9 trillion, right? 9 trillion, isn't it? Good. 2.25 billion times 360. It might not be up to it because Nigeria's budget is about $15 billion. But that's to show you what one company can do. 8.1 billion. 8.1 billion. That was our budget for last year. Isn't it? 8.1 billion because now it's about 9 billion. 2.25 billion times 360. No, 2.25 billion times 360. It has to go into trillions in Nigeria. 8.1 trillion in Nigerian money, right? So what one company, Angry Birds, made from education and from a developmental stride of education is what our national budget. And that's just one company out of where? Out of where? Out of Estonia. So then, what is innovation? Innovation is doing things better than you used to do them before, isn't it? That's just innovation. So, I'll give you this analogy. In 1896, sorry everybody, I'm an historian. In 1896, there was something called the Locomotive Car Act. What was the Locomotive Car Act? It said that no car can move more than 4 miles per hour. The fastest speed a car can move was what? 4 miles per hour. That's about 6 or 7 kilometers per hour. In 1905, it was reviewed, and a car could move 24 kilometers per hour. Recently, a man called Ettore Bugatti made a car called a Bugatti Chiron. Can somebody see the top speed of a Bugatti Chiron for me? Please, Google it up. A Bugatti Chiron. Chiron. The top speed of a Bugatti Chiron. How many kilometers per hour? 420 kilometers per hour. And there's a place called the Autobahn in Germany. Can you see? 261 miles per hour. That's about 400 kilometers, because miles is about times 2. So from 4 miles per hour to 261 what? That's innovation. Isn't it? So how can we get Nigeria's educational system now from 4 miles per hour to what? To 261 miles per hour. Any suggestions? Let's talk about it. It's education. At first, we've decongested our mind, isn't it? So let's talk. So how can we, the task for us, when I talk about innovation, because you see, Albert Einstein said, if you can explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. So I'm sure everybody understands in the house where we are going, what the task is. Because one other thing education teaches us is to use big verbose language to be able to dissuade people from the original vision. That's why tons of people have to cram what they studied in school. They didn't really know it. Isn't it? So how can we get Nigeria's educational system? Because, and this is the real analogy, Nigeria's educational system is what British educational system used to be like in the 1910s and 1920s. As we speak today. Pretty much the same curriculum. You can add the 50s and 60s. Pretty much the same curriculum. So how can we get us from 4 miles per hour to 261 miles per hour? The first thing is technology. Technology. I predict here that in the next 5 years, the most international borderless language will be coding. So if you cannot code, you will be the illiterate of the 21st century. You see, somebody once said the illiterate of the 21st century is those that can't read, learn, and unlearn, isn't it? Good. But the illiterate of the 21st century is if you cannot code and express your thoughts in binary and code language. That's why I started an education hub called EduPay a couple of years back, and we keep deploying coding teachings for schools. So the first part to innovation is understanding technological appreciation. You know, because what has happened? The world has leapfrogged. You know, there were ages. There was an industrial age, there was an atomic age. So Nigeria didn't pass through the industrial age. That's why when you see from 1979 to about 1980, we had the first industrial plan, isn't it? To industrialize Nigeria. And that's why around that time, that's when they built Ajaokuta and the likes that never worked, isn't it? So Nigeria didn't really go through the industrial age. And you cannot go back to the industrial age now because a lot of people have moved past the industrial age. That's why people are shipping things to China. That's why you see Trump's agenda is de-progressive because he wants America to be the manufacturing hub. The world has moved past that. It's no longer the 60s when you were in Youngstown, Ohio, that you had a thriving oil industry. It's no longer that way. So, but we can't go through the industrial age, then we need to leapfrog and use technology, use artificial intelligence, and most importantly, use one thing called IoT. Google what IoT is. No, I'm sorry. Is my assignment too much? Because I don't believe you retain things faster when people tell you. But when you see it yourself, you know it. Google IoT. Internet of Things. Good. The fourth industrial revolution. A certain man called Mr. Schwab from the World Bank started this thing called the World Bank in the 70s. So he will take all these rich billionaires and they will go talk in a place called Davos. And they started, pretty much talking about what the world will be. Him, another group called the Bidenberg Group, they talk about how the world will be. And all of them have come to say that this is what will change the world. IoT, Internet of Things, and the fourth industrial revolution. So, if you don't have appreciation of that, you cannot innovate. And that's why it looks as though you are struggling. If in 2019 we're still doing what is MS-DOS, what is DBase4, what is, when you go to Nigerian universities, they still teach a programming language called Fortran. And I'll tell you a little bit about Fortran. Fortran was a programming language that Catherine Jennings used to write mathematical code for a man to go to space in 1961. We're still teaching Fortran. Google, if you think I'm lying, please Google it up. Fortran. When was Fortran first written? Please Google it up. Can they put it on the screen? When was Fortran first written? Between 1961 to 65 or 67. I'm going to be accurate with the date, but... Sorry, am I boring you with this engagement? If you're bored, just tell me, I will go. Please. Can somebody put it up there? When was Fortran? 50? So I was even wrong. It was 57. 19 what? 50 what? Say it again. 57. In 2019, who studies computer science here? What year did you finish school, ma? Eh? 2009. Did you do Fortran? You did it? You did Fortran. Please come on the stage. Come on the stage. Come on the stage. Come on the stage. Please, a big round of applause. A big round of applause. Please tell them you did Fortran.
I did Fortran, basic and assembly language.
So what year is that?
I graduated 2009.
Okay, yeah. And what was the year Fortran was released there? Good. So if we do not have the technology of today, we cannot innovate for the future. I think it was Winston Churchill that said very profoundly that the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. So if we do not have a national education policy that does that, I went to Mr. Shitu's office. I was trying to push a deal with the federal government. I went to Mr. Shitu's office when he was Minister of Communications. What I saw, I will not tell you. I can't tell you. And that's why I was really excited when Dr. Isa Patami was made, Minister of Communication. He gets it. I'd done some work with him at NIDDA. Great guy, great mind. All right? And where the countries all over the world are talking about things like cloud residency, Nigeria still think it's a joke. So we cannot innovate if we don't have what? If we don't have what? Technology. It's not possible. Another very most important part of innovation of education today is what I call social skills. I think it was Harvard that did a review. The top 10 skills that make people successful in life. Cramming was not number one. It was social, spatial, street skills that were top. You see, that's the reason why first-class graduates hardly get jobs in Nigeria. And they think it's the village people. It's not. It's because we have not taught the social skills. And the way to innovate education, we need to start inculcating social skills in our children from where? When they are small. Why do people send their kids to Cambridge? Why? I've spoken at Cambridge. I'm pushing to speak in Eton. Who knows Eton College here? Eton College is said to be the best. It's not in terms of education, but the most egalitarian secondary school in the world. It is said that if you go to Eton College, you have a high chance of becoming a British Prime Minister. So go check all British Prime Minister. David Cameron went to Eton College and he went to Oxford. It's so funny that most British Prime Ministers, they go to Eton College, they go to Oxford, and they study one course, PPE, politics, philosophy, and what? And economics. Go check, research. Please. You can Google David Cameron now. Why do they send their children to Eton and Oxford? Why? Not because they want them to go do anything extra, But because they want them to social line with the creme de la creme of society for social viability. That's one thing we don't teach here. An average Nigerian doesn't know how to socialize. Network for prosperity. It's a very important skill. My very good friend Bosun Tijani of CC Hall was telling me we met up in a Tech Point. I mean, if you had seen me at Tech Point, I mean, I do a lot of things with Tech Point. And we met up and we were talking and said he's going to school to study how relationship and social special relationships are built. Because when my very dear friend Teach for Nigeria was talking about engaging with government, the crux of the matter is social skills. How to speak their language, to understand them, and to be able to now put your ideas through to them. Because if you don't understand them, nothing will be done. But you know, the problem with all of us is we live in something I term the Lagos bubble. We say in Ikoyi, VI, a child goes to Corona, good life, isn't it? You can afford driver, work in a multinational, earn about 12, 15 million naira every year, good life. Go to summer twice a year. But we forget that there's a child in Zungeru. Matter of fact, Ojukwu was born in Zungeru. Zungeru used to be even better than Lagos. So let's not talk down Zungeru. But it sounds funny though, you can laugh. We forget that there's a child in Zungeru that is looking for equal opportunity. So when we go to these our schools to have these innovation programs, apart from teaching them English, let us teach them social skills. Because really, when they come out there, when they start to lobby and bid for contracts, it's these social skills. I'm not saying teach them how to give sole or egunje or bribes, but it's these social skills of networking, of holding somebody. Can somebody come on stage with me? Please, sir, you come. Please come on stage, thanks. Of even learning how to shake. How are you, sir? Maintain strong eye contact. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Things like that are going to open more doors for you, more than the English you speak. You know, because how you can use humor. There's a French comedian, Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo. You know Victor Hugo? Many French books, isn't it? Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo said something profound. He said, humor is the shortest distance between two people. That's why you see comedians are the greatest networker. Once you can make somebody laugh a little bit, they'll light up. So those social skills are imperative. Also, when you teach them, what will be innovation is making them know their country. A lot of Nigerians don't know their country. That's why we're having the crisis we have. We don't know our country. We don't travel. We don't travel. Even a lot of Nigerians don't even know Africa. You want to know the world. How many of you have been to Botswana? Gaborone? You have been to London? Oh, UK holiday summer. You go and buy the same old shoe that they put in Selfridges since 1921 and you say, UK Harrods. And you sing, London is the town for me. London is not for you. It's for Mama Charlie. Know your environment. Know your environment. Know your country. I met Strife Masiyiwa once. We're having a mentorship session with Strife Masiyiwa. Strife Masiyiwa was telling us how Thomas Nkono used to be a liberator and a freedom fighter in Zimbabwe. Was telling them how when they were young, he would say, Strife, travel. You people don't travel around Africa. Because the true education is to know the environment. The problem is also we know so much about Donald Trump, we don't know the government of Dankwali local government area. How can we make change? The problem is we know how a business ecosystem works so much in India, but we've not been able to crack the business ecosystem of Ajegunle. And we want the youth, the children to thrive. It affected me. When we set up loyal bonus, we used the Indian model, we failed. We lost money. Oh, we saw the big population. We forget that the population didn't have disposable income. We forget that 98% of Nigerians don't have up to 500,000 naira in their bank accounts. If you have. So we forget that a lot. I forgot that. What I was saying was, oh, there are 5 million people in Nigeria. If 1,000 people every day buy stuff from my website in Nigeria, we forget why Jumia is struggling. Education, innovation means people should know their environment. We don't teach a lot of that. When we go for excursion, what do? We take them to Silver Bed Cinema, they go and watch American movie. We don't take them to the slums to be able to understand the perspective of other children in the slums and what their society is all about. Most importantly, to have innovation in education. Teachers, this is for you now. As the song says, Yami Baba Wobi Mi Da. As a teacher, you must constantly tunraebi. Because I know if I say the word rebirth, it can't resonate like tunraebi. You must constantly be open to training. You must constantly be open to renewal of your mind. You must see that pupil you teach as a partner. So when that small boy, Kasali said, don't tell him Benwe song. See him as a partner and encourage him. Because teaching is a symbiotic process. It's like the proverbial Yoruba word, so that's what teaching is all about. It has to be beneficial for both. Innovation will be having a look at our curriculum, having a national conversation. At this day and age, is it 6334 we need? Should we still have Nigerians stay 4 years in university with a high unemployment rate, or have a crash course 2 years in university and they can go into the labor market? Are there many things they're teaching us in our curriculum now that is useless? Are you angry? Yes. Are you angry? Yes. Say, I am angry. So wait a minute, please. Wait a minute, please. You're angry, isn't it? But wait, just wait. Can you hear me out? Can you hear me out? Can you hear me out? Sister, I can see you. Can you hear me out? Good. A woman called Ivana Trump changed my life forever. She was Donald Trump's first wife. She helped Donald Trump build his business empire. And he divorced her. And she said something. She said, don't get angry, get everything. Thank you, sir. She said, don't get angry, get everything. So when I hear that word, when I feel very unfairly cheated, I look for how to get everything. Because you see, anger doesn't predispose rationality. So you see, we might get angry all you want, but once you drink cold Gary and sugar, it's all finished. The anger is not put to use. Cold Gary and sugar. From that, the anger will turn to, Nigeria will change. Big round of applause for you. So the best you can do now is write a petition. We've got over 2,000 people here, right? If everybody here can write a petition to their lawmaker on the fact that education curriculum needs to change, we can get a critical mass. So that's how to change things. Me, I've learned not to get angry. So a lot of people say, Rufai, you don't talk, you don't do. I say, me? I know what I'm doing. So I mobilize. I have single-handedly sponsored 3 bills. One has gotten passed in Lagos. I know how to write bills. I'll just call my legal friend. Let's write this bill. So what we'll do here is, sir, we talked about this. Let's get rapporteurs around and write what we call the education curriculum bill and start to push it. For me, that's impact though. Can get angry, I'm angry. You see, Martin Luther King talked about the fierce urgency of now. I talk about the salience of anger. Put it to use. It is the same salience of anger Rwanda used. I was in Kigali speaking a couple of years back. I was speaking to a high government minister in Kigali. And I was asking them, how did they get 94% health insurance coverage? And he told me, he said, funny enough, we're speaking at I was staying at the Hotel de Mille de Collines. That's Hotel Rwanda, where Roussel Sabagina had his ordeal in 2017. And he said, we said to ourselves that no Rwandese will ever die of a preventable disease. That was the anger. And they worked towards it. Part of my anger and my friend's anger was what led to something I call 1 million teachers. You can go on it, go on the website, a part of 1 million teachers, 1millionteachers.com. My friend Hakim Subar in Canada, we partner with the Queen's University in Canada, set up a teacher learning hub. It's free. I think it's about $6 or $5. You can go there, download teacher curriculum and learn. You can get the website and 1 million teachers. It will benefit you a lot. And it was part of the hangar we started moving. Recently, we signed a contract for 10 years to teach 40,000 teachers in Rwanda. Let me tell you something. Agbe proposal was in Nigeria. They were looking at us. So what did we do? We took it to Rwanda. We have deployed. We've signed the agreement. You see, we met the Minister of Education in Rwanda. That's the only country I see that you can meet a minister in 2 days. No long ferferity. And we've kicked off. But it's also a platform open for you as a teacher. Can somebody go to the website? Can we go to the website, please? 1 million teachers. It's part of innovation. What are we doing there? Can somebody go to the website on the slide? It's a teaching portal. You go out there, you register, you complete the course model, and you start to learn. That's it. That's it. That was part of our anger. Because we're angry, and me and Hakim were in the hotel room one day and we're talking, and a couple of other guys. It's okay, we're angry about this teacher thing. Nobody's looking out for teacher. Okay, let's set up something. That's the website. You can see. You can put it down a little bit. Put it down. Reward-based system, transforming teachers, the incentives. We even have incentives for the teachers. Recently, we took this to Kanu. The only person that looked at us in the north is the Emir of Kanu. We signed him up recently as the chairman of our advisory board. So what the Emir of Kanu is on, you can see it has some validity. You can see Hakim over there and other people in the team. You can check it out. If it's what is going to work for you, it can be part of your innovation journey, isn't it? At least you can see what my anger has done. Isn't it? At least let your anger lead you to go to the website and try to take action. Because of this angry. Oh, you're being for nothing. So anger means taking action. Do something. Be innovative. Be innovative. Do something. Also, your anger means engagements. Engagement with the parents. Engagement with the people. I'll wrap up with this quote. It shaped my life. I think it was Napoleon Bonaparte. I tried to say it in French. My French is terrible. But I translate it in English. It says, la carrière si tu veux c'est calon. What it means is, without distinction of birth or fortune, we should get to a place where there should be no distinction of birth or fortune in the educational advancement of Nigeria. The child of a pauper should be able to get the distinction and the education the child of a rich man should get. It is only when we do that justice will be pushed back to the educational system. If it's possible, somebody give me a big yes. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Can we keep the applause going? A round of applause for our speaker. Thank you very much, sir. That was such a practical and pragmatic session. Very explosive. Explosive. Thank you very much, sir. A quick recap of some of the things we learned, and that's basically the steps to innovation. And one of the things he mentioned is that we're going to give you a clap, sir. You're leaving us.